When I got back, I wrote the story up. Everything. Lynn had handed the mission on to me, and I would see it through. I would tell everyone what happened. I understood now that Deborah and I weren't meant to be together, and I was at peace with that. It wasn't my destiny to return to the life I had before. The universe has other plans for me.
Master of the Two Worlds shows us if and how the hero uses the boon to change the world. The name itself refers to the hero, transformed by his experience in the extraordinary world, applying the boon back in the ordinary world. In Campbell's words, this requires the hero to confront society with his ego-shattering, life-redeeming elixir.
Dick Laurent is dead.
And take the return blow of reasonable queries, hard resentment, and good people at a loss to comprehend. Master of the Two Worlds speaks to the real-life experience of being broken down, recovering, and ending up in a better place overall. This is similar to the psychological concept of anti-fragility, which says that human beings have a special ability to get stronger in the places where they've been broken. For example, if you've ever turned the lessons you learned from hardship or tragedy into an opportunity to grow or help others, you've experienced Master of the Two Worlds. In stories, it's all right if the world just goes back to being the way it was before. There are meaningful stories to be told where that's the best possible outcome. This often happens in horror movies, where the hero is lucky to escape with his life.
I told you not to go in that house.
But the most complete expression of a hero's journey shows us more than the removal of a negative and a return to the status quo. Instead, we see how confronting the problem and overcoming it allows the hero to make the world a better place than it was when he started. To be clear, he doesn't always have to save the planet. If the hero can improve the life of just one person, he's still made the world a better place. But even this close to the finish line, it's still possible to fail, partially or entirely. The hero might successfully cross the return threshold with the boon, but now it might be rejected or misapplied.
What have you done to it? What have you done to its eyes?
He has his father's eyes.
Or the boon is gladly received, but the hero is somehow excluded from its benefits. Let's start with a timeless classic. In Casablanca, a cynical American, Rick Blaine, rediscovers his moral convictions after a chance encounter with a former lover, Ilsa Lund. Their relationship ended in tragedy when she left him waiting at a train station in Paris. It turns out she has a good reason for ghosting him, but he didn't know it at the time, and he took it as a terrible betrayal. Now she needs his help escaping the Axis powers with her freedom fighter husband, Victor Laszlo. All this is complicated by the fact that, deep down, Rick and Ilsa still care about each other. But instead of crossing the return threshold with Ilsa, he gives his precious letter of transit to Laszlo, making the heroic decision to remain in the dangerous, extraordinary world.
If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
Moments after Rick puts them both on a plane, Major Strasser arrives, and Rick shoots him when he interferes with their escape. The corrupt captain of Casablanca's local police, Louis Renault, is the sole witness. When his men arrive, Louis has a decision to make.
Round up the usual suspects.
Captain Renault delivers the rescue from without. Next, we see why Louis did what he did.
Well, Rick, you're not only a sentimentalist, but you've become a patriot.
Maybe, but it seemed like a good time to start.
I think perhaps you're right.
He's been transformed by Rick's idealism. For those who might not know, Vichy was the capital of occupied France, so his refusal to drink the Kool-Aid dramatizes Renault's genuine change of heart. Sometimes the hero is able to deliver the boon, but the world ignores or rejects it. This is what happens in Gangs of New York. Amsterdam Valen learns about the old ways of manhood from Bill the Butcher, the same man who killed his real father, Priest Valen, years earlier.
The priest and me, we lived by the same principles. It was only faith divided us.
But their blood feud comes to a head at the same time as tensions from the Civil War boil over into violence. Even as the rival gang leaders honor the ancient laws of combat, the foundations of that world are being obliterated in real time all around them. Amsterdam completes his journey and takes his honorable revenge in his father's name, an event that would have otherwise rocked New York street culture. But that way of life is over. Amsterdam will reap the benefits of his journey, but to a world ripped apart by war, the boon he has to offer has almost overnight become an obsolete relic of a bygone era. So Amsterdam returns the bloody blade his father gave him as a child to his father's grave. This symbolizes a kind of futile replanting of a seed that's no longer compatible with the soil of this transformed world.
It was like everything we knew was mightily swept away.
On the other side of the coin, we have War for the Planet of the Apes, which shows us a hero who delivers the boon, but doesn't get to reap the benefits himself. Caesar has led his people for years, survived persecution, betrayal, and a post-apocalyptic war. After a final battle with a powerful human faction, Caesar's band of apes emerges victorious and find a new home where they'll be safe. But Caesar is mortally wounded during the battle, shot by a soldier whose life he had once spared. Caesar is a principled leader, willing to risk his own life in the name of what he thinks is right, and he pays the ultimate price for it. But that's also what makes him a strong leader, capable of delivering his people to the promised land.
Son will know who was father and what Caesar did.
When it comes to total failure, we'd be hard-pressed to find a better example than 1984. Winston Smith is a political dissident, known as a thought criminal, in a dystopian future ruled by Big Brother and his totalitarian regime. Smith risks everything by falling in love with another thought criminal, Julia. They're eventually captured by the state and tortured, not to death, but into complete psychological submission.
How many fingers am I holding up, Winston?
4.
And if the party says there are not 4, but 5, then how many?
5.
Once Winston's spirit has been irrevocably broken, he's simply allowed to cross the return threshold. Back in the ordinary world, he encounters Julia, who takes on the role of a threshold guardian.
I told them all about you. I'm only thankful they got me before it was too late.
Yes, I told them about you too.
Their brainwashing appears to be complete. Finally, the party broadcasts a false confession, with Winston admitting to all kinds of crimes he didn't commit.
I stand here a victim of the influence of Emmanuel Goldstein. Guilty on all counts. I'm glad I was caught. I was mentally deranged. Now I am cured.
The hero fought the system, and the system won. Not by destroying him, but by bending him to its will and sending him back to the ordinary world to reinforce the status quo with a false boon. Let's wrap up with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which shows Master of the Two Worlds occurring out of order. Indy and his father, Henry Jones Sr., have raced against the Nazis to find the Holy Grail. When Henry is mortally wounded, Indy must find his way past 3 deadly challenges in the hopes that the Grail can save his father's life. Indy finds the Grail, but he's also warned by the final Threshold Guardian not to take it beyond the cave's Great Seal, the physical signifier of the return threshold.
The Grail cannot pass beyond the Great Seal. That is the boundary and the price of immortality.
This is a great example of neighboring stages not so much being strictly reversed, but blended together. First, the boon is applied. Indy uses the Grail to save Henry, literally and figuratively healing the father wound. Then, the boon makes contact with the Great Seal, beginning the return threshold sequence. Next, we see the effect of the boon on its recipient. Henry accepts that his son is now his own man, calling him Indiana instead of Junior for the first time in the story.
Indiana.
Indiana.
Let it go.
This, in the end, allows our hero to cross the return threshold intact. Once the hero has applied the boon, the story concludes with a dramatization of the new normal. The dust has settled, and life goes on for the hero and the ordinary world. The hero transformed by the journey, and the world transformed by the returning hero. But this doesn't always mean that the hero gets to live happily ever after. Sometimes the hero makes it this far only to discover that he isn't compatible with the new normal. The final outcome for our hero is ultimately decided in the last stage of the hero's journey: freedom to live.
Good night, sweetheart.